Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be doing some more Ferocious Cup practice. In this case we're going to be using a double water strategy. Let's just see how it goes. So I am using a little Ninetales, Umbreon, Nidoqueen, Vaporeon, Minun, and Bibarel, and utilizing that double water strategy along with Nidoqueen to try to bait out their electric type. Obviously this won't work if they're using Linoone. So if I don't see the electric type, I auto switch to Vaporeon, try to get that energy advantage versus whatever's coming in. This case it's Linoone. So this puts me in not that great of a position. So I am going to go for the Aqua Tail and start spamming, get the second Aqua Tail off. And Vaporeon's a really great switch in just because it takes so little energy to get to those Aqua Tails, and you just keep spamming them against your opponent. And then Bibarel, like I said in my video, does very well in the 0 and 1 shield matchups. So I am gonna shield, and then I'm gonna feint down this Linoone, or hopefully I can. A little risky on my part, probably one Shadow Claw away. And then here comes Nidoqueen. I really should have went for the Hydro Pump. I don't know why I rushed it, but that's quite alright. And that's probably why, because the Umbreon had energy built up. So I know he has a Nidoqueen in the back, so I feel pretty good in this situation. Don't need to worry too much. Nidoqueen can tank multiple foul plays, so I'm going to be able to get this Earthquake off. I'm going to be able to survive this foul play no problem. And if this Earthquake doesn't KO, which it probably won't because Umbreon is a massive tank, I am going to switch out into Bibarel to try to feint down with Water Guns. Even if I get hit by foul play, I'm like super close to a Surf and I'm able to finish it off with Surf. And take it out. So yeah, really the whole objective is bait out the electric, farm down the electric with Nidoqueen. So like if they don't have an electric, what do they switch into? Yeah, it's lots of ways that this plan could be flawed, but feel pretty. It's a pretty interesting video. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look and do some more battles. Gonna lead with Alolan Ninetales into Skuntank. I'm gonna safe switch into Vaporeon, and then here comes Linoone. Same thing. I'm going to go for these Aqua Tails. And I'm going to spam the second Aqua Tail. And if it doesn't shield, then I'm going to shield and then just farm down this Linoone. So I end up winning switch advantage back. I have some energy. I took out one Pokemon. So pretty good situation. And then here comes Vaporeon. And I am going to go for the Hydro Pump, being a little aggressive. Obviously, if it gets shielded, it's pretty terrible for me. But that's actually not the case. And then once I do the Hydro Pump, my opponent realizes that they have to do their charge move now, or they are at risk of being fainted down. So, anyways, I come into Umbreon. I'm not too worried at this point in time. I'm going to put just a little bit of pressure onto this Skuntank. And there's the charge move. The energy's at 0. And now I can just farm down from here. And I'm going to be able to shield. And then there's Vaporeon in the back. Little Ninetales with like one shield. It's just, this charm damage is so OP. In this cup, obviously, it sucks when you run into like a Nidoqueen or a Lairon or etc. etc. So next up, I'm going against Mathematician, and again, I'm going to try this double water strategy and see how it goes for me. The only thing is like if they lead with a water type, So they switch out into Bibarel, and I'm going to switch out into Bibarel of my own. And I don't shield this first one, which may be a dumb move on my part. But because this Bibarel sustained some damage from Nidoqueen, it's going to put this Bibarel at super low health, and I'm actually going to be able to farm it down. And let's see what comes in. I'm like pretty close to Surf. So this Surf is going to do a lot of damage to this Minun if it does go through. Which it doesn't. And I'm going to get farmed down, which I'm perfectly fine. This is the reason why I have 2 water Pokemon. Because I want to bait out the electric type. So there comes the electric type. And then here comes Skunk Tank. And I'm up 2 shields to 0. It's a pretty favorable situation for me. If this is a crunch, that's perfectly fine too. And I'm going to hit the Aqua Tail. And I'm going to apply some pressure. Even if this is a Sludge Bomb, I'm okay with it because I'm going to survive. And I do want to just get to a little bit low health so that way that Minun can't farm me down. And it's going to do a little bit of chip damage. And I'm okay. If this Minun had like a little bit more energy or had 2 shields, then I would be in a little bit of trouble. Even though the defense drop actually was it doesn't really matter because I'm going to get to another one regardless. But these like Nidoqueen is pretty bulky, but it's not the tankiest Pokemon. Even though it double resists these Thunderbolts, they certainly can add up in terms of damage. So I take match number 1 using the double water strategy. I saw, shout out to Jay Devon, I saw him saying why he would want Bibarel, even though he's utilizing Vaporeon, and that's for the double water strategy. So I'm going to lead with Alolan Ninetales and catch into Bibarel. This is okay. And I was actually hoping to catch the Surf. And then I end up catching the Hyper Fang, which is not great for me. And I'm going to go into the Aqua Tail. And hoping to get another one off, which I just barely do. It just, Vaporeon's so spammy. It's like insane. And then was at risk of like getting potentially farmed down, but decides to go for the discharge. And what do I do here? I could have went in with a Alolan Ninetales and farmed up and fainted down perhaps even before the charge move got through. So I'm gonna forego switch advantage for some energy advantage, and I go for the last resort. And I switch out into Alolan Ninetales. Gonna chunk away at this Bibarel. Should be able to take it out. Nope, not able to take it out before it gets the charge move off, which is fine. Here comes another Surf. And then able to take it out. And then I'm gonna go for Ice Beam just to burn the shield. And then no shield on my opponent's side. And yeah, I really need to burn the shield. And that it would have been a little bit closer if he would have chose to burn the shield on Ice Beam, but I think I still would be able to pull it out. Like I would have been like 1 charge move ahead of my opponent. And then at this point in time, I can just finish off with Foul Play, so that's what I'm going to do. And able to take it out. And again, I'm going to go into this double water strategy, going up against the Wonder Kid himself. We had like a weird interaction. He messaged me saying the first invite didn't go through. And then you're gonna see what happens. Like we're waiting, I'm waiting, we're messaging on each other on Twitter, trying to figure out what the heck is happening because I've already sent him an invite, didn't go through, and all this stuff. This is like the second invite. So I go out, and then all of a sudden I'm like in the battle. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like seeing, and it's like obnoxiously close. So in this matchup, if he's carrying Flamethrower Dragon Pulse, then I can just shield the first one, and I get the defense drop. So I can shield the first one. If it's actually Twister, I end up losing the one shield matchup. But because it takes so long to get to Flamethrower relative to how much energy Poison Jab takes, then I'm in a pretty good position. And he comes in with Skunk Tank, and I don't want to get farmed down, so I'm going to switch into Vaporeon, fully knowing that there could be an Electric type in the back. End up shielding the Sludge Bomb, which is good for me, and I should be able to survive another Sludge Bomb anyways. And even if this is another Sludge Bomb, I'm gonna be able to survive, just barely. And I definitely cannot farm down at this health, so I'm gonna just quickly Aqua Tail. And comes in with Lairon, and I'm in a really good position in this case just because I have Bibarel in the back. Obviously, these Rock Slides are going to do quite a bit of damage, so I couldn't let that Lairon farm up too much energy. And I go into Surf and go for the KO. So I take match number 1. And this time like not bringing a Charm user, so it's like applies like slightly different pressure. The water types do. Trying to think if there's like an anti-charm user. Well, like Skunk Tank would have like probably the best matchup against the anti-charm user, especially with shields up. But it still loses to them. But kind of close matchup. So it's also the softest charm counter, just because it's still taking neutral damage from charm, and Skunk Tank is like kind of squishy. All right. So this is not good for me, so I am gonna safe switch into Vaporeon, and let's see if he decides to stay or not. He decides to come into Shelgon, and then here I just go for a Hail Mary play. And he shields it. Then I'm like, oh god, this is pretty terrible for me. Yeah, awful for me. I don't even know why I shielded there. I should just did the Aqua Tail. And I tried to go for another Hydro Pump, or at least bait up to it, to potentially bring the second shield. But he's too good at counting, so not able to get to it. And I come into Alone Ninetales and just auto delete this Shelgon. I am gonna shield, and it was Sludge Bomb. It definitely would have KO'd me. And then I'm gonna switch out into Umbreon. So I have the slight energy advantage because I switched one turn earlier. So I definitely don't want to give that up. Hits me with Last Resort, and I'm like being very cognizant on the clock. And I'm just hitting these charge moves as soon as possible to prevent the queuing process. And I know he's trying to queue, but I just keep farming up energy just because like now he's past 100 energy, and I switch out into Lone Ninetales. He does another Last Resort, which was a fine move, just because like he wants his Skunk Tank to be at slightly lower, and then this ends up being really okay for me, just because I've already landed a couple charms onto, and I'm going to go for Last Resort because I just basically need to double Last Resort, and he shields, and we already knew that we fired up a ton of energy, so as part of the queuing process, because I fired off my charge move before arrow, I know that if I just keep fast moving down, it actually works out better for me, because then we end up like both at he hits 100 energy first, so then he's missing out on more snarl, like more energy. He's like lost more energy, so which is what ultimately allowed me to win that matchup. So, and I auto switch into Bibarel, and I think he like instinctively thought that, I don't really know what he thought I was switching into, like a charm user maybe. So I'm not going to shield this one. I still have to worry about that Vaporeon later on. And I don't want to get hit. I could have shielded and then farm down and then had quite a bit of energy. But I don't want to necessarily take that risk. So he ends up having Umbreon. And, I could have shielded here, and that's probably would have been the better play. But I'm going to come back into Nidoqueen, looking to do as much damage as I can. I probably didn't need to shield that. And I'm going to go for the Earth Power because I need to KO using 2 Earth Powers. And I actually was hoping for the defense drop. And here comes foul play. And here comes, I forget what I do here. If I shield or not, I do shield. And I'm going to farm down. And I'm going to hit this Earth Power. Again, hoping for the defense drop. And he actually doesn't end up shielding. And then I do get the defense drop. And this actually, not shielding actually really saved me. Because I could just farm down with Water Gun. It would have been certainly a lot closer. In this case, I could have double Aqua-tailed. And then did a little bit more damage that way. But not shielding, certainly. We only do one game, so we had some issues. Next up against Qeueing, one of the top trainers in all of Europe. Was one of the Season 1, participated in Season 1 championships out in Dortmund. A very strong competitor. Always a very consistent competitor. So I wait for the foul play, then I switch out into Vaporeon. Again, hoping to bait out the Pokemon, and then again, because I'm generating energy slower, eventually he has to hit the charge move, especially if he's trying to queue up, or else he's just be wasting energy, and then it actually works out a little bit better for me. In this case, he just went for the self piggyback, but I was able to sneak a Water Gun in. Not that makes a really huge difference, anyways. And I go for the Aqua Tail. This is not going to KO Umbreon. But put it pretty low. And I don't shield. And I'm going to be able to KO enough health to get to another charge move. And I don't want to get farmed down, so I immediately switch into Bibarel. And what I want to do is I want to kind of be a little sneaky here and just try to like chip away at this Bibarel. And I decide not to shield in case he tries to go for the bait, which he does, which actually ends up like putting me in a really good position. Because if he would have hit me in Hyper Fang, he definitely wouldn't be able to Water Gun me down. And I do put up the shield. And he goes for the Hyper Fang. And he switches into Lairon. And I'm going to apply some shield pressure. And I'm going to immediately switch out into Nidoqueen. And I do want him to hit me with a charge move. And mostly because I didn't know how much energy his Bibarel had in the back. So I didn't want it to farm me too much. It could have been like a stupid mistake on my part. And then I am able to finish it off with... so I didn't want him to charge up too much energy, even though I could hit him beforehand. And, potentially like those poison jab damage are still neutral, so might have been kind of costly decision on my part. Maybe overthinking it, to be honest. In this next match, gonna end up in a similar situation. And go into Alolan Ninetales into Slaron. Not good at all. This is like one of the worst matchups you can have. And again, I'm looking for this energy advantage. And then here, I kind of like realize that I'm like pretty screwed. So I just go for this Hail Mary play. If I can land this, then I'll end up winning the match. If I don't land it, then high probability I'm going to lose, especially if you had Charm User in the back. So, anyways, I kind of reveal that I don't have Last Resort, so this is pretty straightforward for him. Just going to Aqua Tail as much as I can, hoping to get to another Aqua Tail, but not able to. And this is where he actually really gets me really well. And so he knows that I'm like really scared of the Lairon. So then he switches into Alolan Ninetales, but it wouldn't have mattered anyways because my Alolan Ninetales is lower health than his, and like I would end up in like this pretty terrible situation, regardless. And I really should have Last Resort there. I don't know why I foul played there. And yeah, there's basically no play for me. The fact that my Alolan Ninetales was and that was like a brilliant switcher on his part. As soon as you see that your Alolan Ninetales has more health than theirs, and the fact that I guess I could have had Nidoqueen, to be honest, if I switched out, which would have been a little bit of risk on his part, because then I would have been able to farm down that Alolan Ninetales. So a little risky play on his side, considering he didn't necessarily know what my third Pokemon was. And then if I would have been able to farm down, he saw his Bibarel, but I would have been like in an okay situation. Because I would have farmed down his Alolan Ninetales, burned his shield, and then he would have came in potentially with Bibarel. Then I would have burned his last shield. I still would have lost, but the team composition was a little too hard for me to deal with. Next up, I'm going against Toshi. You guys probably already know Toshi. Toshi's one of the top players in the U.S., so good situation for me. And he comes in with Skuntank. So in this case, I'm just going to let him hit me with a Crunch. And then I'm going to switch into Vaporeon, just because I didn't want to be at an energy disadvantage versus this Skuntank. And then as well, the Poison Jabs are not doing that much damage to Nidoqueen. And what do I do here? So I think he hits me with a Sludge Bomb. Man, I keep getting hit by these Sludge Bombs, which is perfectly fine for me. And then I am going to Aqua Tail right away into this Alolan Ninetales, which he's not going to shield, just because his Alolan Ninetales is like slightly dead weight with my Nidoqueen out there. So again, going to go into Nidoqueen. And then my Nidoqueen is a little bit low health, so I'm not going to mess around too much. And I'm going to go for the Earth Power. And I'm going to immediately switch out into Bibarel. And this is like an interesting matchup. He goes for the Aqua Tail. And I'm just going to double Hyper Fang. And then here's my strategy. This is a little bit risky on my part, but I just kind of like wanted to see if I could pull it off. I know my Nidoqueen still has a little bit of health left. So I think I expend his shield. Ends up just being an Aqua Tail. And I go for the second Hyper Fang. If he doesn't shield this Hyper Fang, then I'm just going to water gun him down. And I don't shield this. So his energy is reset at this point in time. So I'm going to switch out into Nidoqueen, but it's also the case like if he does Water Gun, and then I'm also in the clear because I still have a shield up, and then I go for the Earth Power, and I'm able to take him out with with a very sliver of health. It's kind of a risky play on my side, to be honest, but it worked out. And again, we're gonna go with this strategy of leading with lone Ninetales, Vaporeon, just a really good anti Ninetales, anti Charmer counter. Beats like Lairon, beats Nidoqueen, beats Alolan Sandslash, beats them all like pretty easily. So in this matchup, again, I want to just hit as many charms before he decides to bubble beam me. So I'm able to sneak in that one last charm, and then he bubble beams me just because like he's only done like 4 snarls at this point in time, and he's able to beat me again to the charge move. But I know it's bubble beam again, so I didn't double bubble beam at this point in time, and I'm going for Psyshock, hoping to take it out, and he comes in with, and I instant switch to Vaporeon, and I'm able to get these charge moves off a little bit faster than Skuntank, but it's not that much faster, and he's like clearly building up for a potential Sludge Bomb, and he baits me with the Crunch, and I'm okay here. I know this is another Crunch. There's no way he got to the charge moves that quickly. So then I end up hitting the Aqua Tail to finish him off. And here comes Suicune, and he's like pretty aggressive on the farming. So I end up hitting another Aqua Tail onto Suicune, and he clearly wanted to bubble beam me down. So that ends up working really well for me. And then I decide to come in with Umbreon to try to farm. Fortunately, I get hit by a bubble beam here and reduce my damage. And then he has a little Ninetales. So here's the thing, like, he has 1 shield left. I just need to get this Alolan Ninetales to low enough health that his Alolan Ninetales is lower than mine. And we both have 1 shield. And the Alolan Ninetales, even though my damage has been reduced by 2, it would have been actually pretty close here. He ends up doing the charm, so then it ends being not particularly that close. I'm still like 2 charms away, and I actually thought the match was over, and then I saw the Suicune came out, and then that was GG. So he had a chance to win if he shielded the Last Resort. That was the thing. Like Last Resort and Psyshock do the same amount of damage to Alolan Ninetales, but the thing is that my Alolan Ninetales was double reduced in damage, so it would have did like whatever 2/3 of the damage, as opposed to like 3/4, whatever it is, on Umbreon. So he might have been able to win it out if he would have shielded a Last Resort as opposed to like a Dragon Pulse or a reduced damage Psyshock. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.